July 4th weekend here in the New York, New Jersey area. Perfect time to remember all that we are thankful for. National anthem, and we are ready to go in this one for the Rochester Rhinos. A few changes. Tomas Gomez takes over in goal, the Georgetown alumni. Sean Tosh moves from midfield back to the back line. Joe Farrell, Walt Fall, Brandon Bursiford, Marcus Ugarte at fullback with Ryan James, Bernardo Forbes, the captain. Another addition to the starting lineup, Sophia Tergu, who brings more of an attacking verve, and then the two big men up front, Christian, the dangers of this team, Christian Valesky and Steven Dos Santos. Those are the main targets for this Rochester team.
Yeah, definitely players who are foils in many ways. Valesky's very comfortable doing hold-up type of play. Dos Santos comfortable kind of running off the ball. We saw here in the game a couple months ago, he had a couple good scoring opportunities in this game, wasn't able to put them on frame, got out wide, floated out there, likes to take players on 1v1.
On the flip side, for New York Red Bulls too, it's pretty simple. It's the exact same starting lineup as last week. Damian Paranel made his return to professional soccer last week with 35 minutes, expecting somewhere between 35 and 45 today at center back, but the rest of it's the same. Pleva, Long, and Carroll on the back line. Dan Metzger, coming off the USL Team of the Week, will pair Devin Williams in the midfield, and then it's the four big attacking players. Etienne Jr., Bonomo, Allen, and Junior Flemings, who scored an unbelievable goal last week, and they return to the lineup. On the bench, Vincent Bezecourt, who's making his return from injury, has played in the last two games, and Valo, coming off his first New York Red Bull 2 appearance, where he picked up an assist as well on that bench. Expect to see number 39, Tim Schmoll, come replace Damian Paranel whenever that's necessary. Christian, who are you focused on for New York Red Bulls 2 in this matchup?
Certainly Damian Paranel is going to be getting 45 minutes. That was the plan John Walenek told me yesterday. Jesse Marsh backing that up as well in his comments yesterday to the media. And then with an eye towards him getting at least 75 minutes in the midweek friendly against Club America. It's going to be on a Wednesday night, which is going to be good CONCACAF Champions League preparation for the Red Bulls. But I think Paranel now taking the next step in his fitness, winning the balls, making the right calls. This guy's a consummate professional since he's come in here. This will be a good test for him in the same way that we saw a couple weeks ago Sean Davis and Sean Wright Phillips and some of the other ones use a USL match to be able to get ready for US Open Cup and MLS play.
Early touch here for Metzger, coming off that Team of the Week award. Brandon Allen's called offside. I mentioned Rochester and New York tying 0-0 just a few weeks ago, though. In U.S. Open Cup play, New York Red Bulls, the Major League Soccer team, knocked off Rochester up in Rochester 1-0, ending their
tough match
Open
for the
Cup
Red
run.
Bulls. Very tough match there. Rochester, we know, stays compact defensively, plays a very direct style, not afraid to go over the top. They had several good scoring opportunities in that one. They put one away. The match looks very different, but I think certainly this is the kind of team where Rochester, physical, plays direct, not afraid to hit a long ball, not afraid to chase after the game a little bit in terms of being willing to counterattack. Red Bull wants to play those 1-2 touches, the interchanges, free-flowing, a little bit more pressing style. Two very, very different styles between these squads.
Should be an interesting matchup to watch. For New York, an interesting piece for them. They've struggled to find fullbacks, so Conrad Pleva and Zach Carroll have played admirably out there on the wings. Both of them well over 6 feet tall, though. Dos Santos, an intimidating figure in the air, as well as Valesky, so it should be fun to watch those players go to battle throughout this matchup.
And they may have struggled to find outside backs, but one spot they haven't struggled at is Aaron Long and center back. I mean, this guy's putting together a USL Best 11 type of season. Had the opportunity to speak with John Walenek about him yesterday. He said, you know what, he's the kind of guy who's showing that he can take that step some point in the next season or two. So certainly Aaron Long is another player who's benefiting from the USL setup, playing against grown men like this Rochester lineup is, not just young players, not just academy, taking that next step in terms of going from college, his career, to now being able to play in this environment, in this setting, and really prove himself. And Aaron Long consistently developing in practice, but also in these matches.
Aaron Long coming off back-to-back goals. In the last 2 weeks, he had what at the time was the go-ahead goal down in Orlando City 2 weeks ago. Scored the second goal in the matchup against Wilmington last weekend here at Red Bull Arena to make things a little bit simpler. In New York, they got an early goal in that game, Christian, and then they had to struggle for a while against a Wilmington team that was composed, that battled hard, and then they exploded for 3 goals late in the game, capped off by Junior Flemings. New York, as good as they looked, they were in a tough match against Wilmington for most of that game.
Yeah, and we've seen that from a Red Bulls team that's a young team floating in and out of games at times throughout this year, looking dominant in the first half and sometimes tailing off in the second half. And I think David, this is part of the maturing process. When you look at a roster as young as this, so many players in here, 18, 19, 20, 21, guys who are in their first year as professionals, first year at the USL, first year, out of college soccer or perhaps out of an academy setting, depending on where they're at in their careers. Playing in a system like this, a press system, learning how to use their bodies, how to train, but how to control themselves in matches. It's been several times this year we've seen 60th, 70th minute, fatigue begins to set in. And it's part of the learning process, and in recent weeks, it's definitely improved.
5-0-1 on the road. The only loss of the season was here at home against Charlotte for New York Red Bulls too. And coming off that 4-0 win against Wilmington, they're sitting in second place in the Eastern Conference, 4 points behind Louisville City. New York Red Bull 2 on 31 points, Louisville City on 35 points, but with 2 games in hand. And I think this matchup against Rochester that they've never been able to win go a long way to answering a lot of questions that people are asking. Is this the best team in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I want to note it, Red Bull 2 is undefeated in games that we announced together. So, maybe we need to talk about pay raises or
maybe
something
we should
like
play.
that.
I mean, if we're undefeated, Christian, maybe we should be down on the field. It's a developmental
My
team.
left lung just collapsed at the thought.
New York Red Bull 2 looking to continue that hot streak of undefeated under Christian and David's watchful eye.
There's a couple Rochester fans watching right now, not too eager about that.
Rochester, good supporter section here to watch this one, driving down as Junior Flemings looks to get going offensively. Etienne Jr.'s touch just a little bit too long. Those 2 players both named to Copa America preliminary rosters for their respective national teams, Haiti and Jamaica.
And Etienne, in all likelihood, Haiti's going to have a match in probably around August, September, during when the international breaks there. We'll get another call up to the camp and might get his first full appearance with the Haitian national team in late summer or early fall.
And what a revelation Junior Flemings has been out on that right wing. Young player out of Jamaica on the ball now, whips the cross in, and it's cleared away and out for the first corner kick of the game. Sean Tosh, who started in midfield in the last game. He's been a bit of a Swiss Army knife for Coach Lilly. Bob Lilly leading his squad down here once again. USL champions last year, a USL Hall of Famer. He has won absolutely everywhere he's gone, whether in Pennsylvania, throughout Canada, as well as at Rochester. As it looks like Etienne Jr. will be the one to take it. I mentioned the height for both sides. Bonomo and Allen up top, along with Perinel and Long and Carroll. And Etienne Jr. with the right-footed service, and it's too short on that near post. We'll get a second bite at it. Back out to the feet of Speedy Williams. Conrad Plava looking for an option in front of him. And it's intercepted, and a chance for Rochester to go back the other way. And a free kick will go in favor of the Rhinos. Our head official today, Mark Kadlecik. His 2 sideline officials, Amilcar Sikaju and Ryan Dos Reis, and his 4th official, Wojciech Gluz-Zak. Opening 10 or so minutes here. The New York Red Bulls 2 and the Rochester Rhinos. Their games have been a little all over the place, Christian. We've seen 0-0s, and then we've seen 2 goals in stoppage time, 3-2s, and red cards across the board between the 2 teams. We know there's an actual rivalry here. We know these teams seem to butt heads a little bit, but it's odd to see how different the matchups can be. And maybe we talked a little bit about it before the game. it's due to the tactical difference between these two teams.
It is due to the tactical difference, and this is a team here in the Red Bulls likes to attack, likes to press, likes to keep things going full throttle, and Rochester is very content to keep in a shell. I mean, this is a team that's averaging just 3 shots on goal per game. It's a stingy defense. It's a team that's made its identity the fact that we are going to be tough, if not impossible, to break down. So there is a tactical difference. The thing that concerns me about Rochester throughout this year is they haven't found consistency in terms of being able to put the ball in the back of the net. Certainly Valesky with his 5 goals has been good, but when Farrell, a defender, is second on the team with 4 goals, that's always going to be a concern when you have that situation. Where are the other goals coming from? Dos Santos has been streaky this year, has had difficulty finding space, finding time, teams shutting him down, floating in and out of those games. So it's that movement, it's that delivery of the ball in the midfield that if I'm Bob Lilly, I'm beginning to look and say, we may need to make a move this summer. Who's going to be out there on a loan that's going to be available for us, or a transfer that we might be able to look and see that can help us in the final third.
Dos Santos goes to the ground off the foot of Long, and then advantage played, and now it'll be called back for the free kick. Steven Dos Santos shown a red card at the end of the game in the playoffs against New York Red Bulls 2 last year that forced him to miss both the Eastern Conference Finals and the USL Championship. So started out the beginning of this year, and the first yellow card of the game, and it'll go to Aaron Long. Just after we, of course, sang his praises. Now, watch out here. You mentioned it. Joe Farrell, second on the team in goals, scored off a corner kick in their last game, the win over Pittsburgh. One of the many aerial threats that they have, and as usual, it'll be Canardo Forbes with the service. He's a player who's given New York Red Bulls 2 a lot of trouble in the past. So Forbes lining up the right-footed service. The wall in front for Mira. He's got 5 or 6 options in the box to play it at. And it'll be Canardo Forbes now. Right-footed cross played in. Bonomo with the clearance.
And I'm wondering, where's that secondary runner coming in right there? A ball like that falling perfectly in the top of the 6-yard box would have been very good. Where was that second wave of a runner, perhaps, that's there to read, respond? Would have been a golden scoring opportunity.
We see the confirmation for Aaron Long's yellow card. And I mentioned 2 red cards in the playoffs last year, 1 for either side in that matchup. The final game of the regular season last year, New York Red Bulls 2 trailing 2-0 up in Rochester, scored 2 goals. The equalizer in stoppage time before Sean Tosh put away his 2nd goal of the season to win it in stoppage time 3-2 for Rochester. They then won in the postseason 2-1 to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals against Louisville City. Rochester sitting in 6th place in the Eastern Conference on 21 points, but only 13 games played. They have a few games in hand on the teams right above them. And Christian, last year was a historic year. They only conceded 15 goals last year. This year they've conceded 13 and 13. That's not a bad number either. It almost feels like 15 last year was just maybe unsustainable for a second season.
Well, and I think you're also seeing the hangover effects, perhaps, of being USL champions, of everyone coming out to gun for you. It isn't necessarily a drop in form. When you talk to some of these Red Bull 2 players and staff, they don't think that this is a very different or an inferior Rochester team. I mean, yes, they're missing Castillo and Wall with the injury, but certainly you're looking at a team that very much has kept its identity. It seems like year after year they lose several players, whether it's to other USL teams, NASL squads, or MLS teams, but they always seem to be able to find whatever their identity is, and I think Lilly does a good job of that, find their identity, who they're going to be, and kind of build and shape their team around that. And, I don't think that this is a team that's any worse than the team last year. I just think teams are coming out gunning for them and maybe have figured out a couple things and ways to break them down.
Rochester had as many timely goals as one team can have last year, and this year. Still in sixth place, so well in the playoff picture, but not putting up the historic numbers maybe that they did last year. As Dos Santos battles with Parinel. Parinel's able to come away with it. Don't forget, 5 substitutions allowed for both teams in USL action. It makes it much easier to play a guy like Parinel, who you know you will have to take off somewhere in the first half or at halftime. Rochester had a 15-game unbeaten streak last year, a USL record. 2 weeks ago, Louisville City knocked them off in Rochester. It broke a 24-game home unbeaten streak that spanned over a year of action. An incredible run it's been for this Rochester team, and for Christian Valesky on the ball there. Just beat out by Aaron Long.
And just a few moments ago, David, we saw Dan Metzger with a wonderful switch, good vision, picking his head up. And great to see Metzger now with 3 starts in the last 4 matches after kind of coming off the bench. We all know about the knee injury last year. Took him out of contention for the Olympic squad. I think Dan Metzger, and I had the opportunity to see Metzger's first practice with the USL team this season after the injury. He was just frustrated, just sitting on the turf, kind of frustrated at the fact that his fitness wasn't quite where he wanted it to be, his touch, his sharpness, all the things that are important to a player, and it just kind of spilled out. And John Wolonek took him to the side and said, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to come with time. Just be patient in who you are. And it took a couple months for Metzger now to get match fitness, but to see him a difference maker there, I know playing a little bit deeper, kind of in that Dax McCarty sort of role, but bringing some vision, bringing some poise on the ball. Dan Metzger's a really interesting name, I think, to kind of keep an eye on if you're a Red Bulls fan for perhaps taking a jump now. We've seen it now, his consistency the past couple matches, but is this a guy 2017, if the Red Bulls need to make a tough decision in their midfield, who they think can kind of step up and maybe be a depth player and with an eye towards the future, 2017 and beyond?
A lot of people have talked about around the Red Bulls the mentality it takes to come back from such a long-term injury and what it shows as a character of a player. Metzger was a Red Bull Academy player, went to college, ended up getting drafted by DC United, did not ever
First round
sign
pick
a
as
deal.
well.
Huh?
A first round pick as well.
And ended up here with New York Red Bulls too. Back in the New York Red Bulls family, as so many of these players are with the Academy and PDL background or NPSL background. Valesky's able to swing that one, looking to switch the field. Fleming's over to cover as James battles with him, and Flemings comes away with it.
A little nonchalant defending there from Junior Flemings.
Keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL and its 29 teams. Nashville FC being named this week. Another exciting part of the future for the USL.
Great atmosphere at that press conference watching it yesterday. I mean, you could just sense the excitement, the fans, and how much they were getting into it. And Nashville's a great market, I think, for the development of soccer. They've drawn well in the upper 20,000s for the U.S. national team a couple times. Once in a friendly 2 World Cups ago. I believe that was actually maybe in the international debut of Michael Bradley. No, that would have been 3 World Cups ago when they played in Nashville. But certainly it's a city that's taken to soccer and I think is ready for this next step. And we've seen in-state Chattanooga, what they've been able to do as well.
Nashville's the live music capital of the U.S. The name of their supporters group is the Roadies. That is an awesome name. Cross comes in here from Bonomo, and it gets knocked out, and it'll be another corner kick, I believe. Nope, a throw-in.
Ever been to Nashville?
I have not.
One of my favorite cities in the United States. Barbecue's not bad either.
My sister's currently on vacation there, and I'm quite jealous. I've been talking about Nashville all week, of course, with this news. Chris Redditch, part of the ownership group, a former USL player himself. And now, Christian, we've come full circle. The U.S. soccer pyramid is complete.
And Landon Donovan, now a part owner of an English Premier League team.
It's exciting.
Well, we know Jurgen Klinsmann won't be calling up any players from there. I went there.
New York Red Bull, too, look to put a little high press on, but it's cleared out by Rochester. Dos Santos going to make Parinel's life as stressful as possible and he plays it back to the calm feet of Ryan Mira.
A little bit of a sloppy touch there from Damian Parnell, but that's why these matches are important for someone like him, coming off the injury that he had in the MLS Cup playoffs, being able just to work on some of those touches, the muscle memory that's needed to come back, as well as the fitness.
Playva with the turnover. And for a guy like Parnell, Christian, whose ability on the ball is almost as important as his ability to defend, as we see Aaron Long looking to close down Dos Santos. Steven Dos Santos able to keep possession. Reserford with the ball up into the box, and it'll roll to the hands of Mira. But how important is that to his game, Christian? Because he's a guy who was known as starting the attack for New York Red Bulls as well as defending.
And perhaps even more than that, I think just his vision, his ability to read the game, the instincts that he possesses, I think those things are going to be as important for Parnell as getting 45 minutes. Listen, the guy can go out there and run for 45 minutes, 46 minutes, emulate one half of soccer, but being able to go out there, see what he needs to do, that's important.
Valesky on the run, but not able to get clean contact with the shot, and Mira comes away with it.
And that's been part of Valesky's problem this year. He's had a number of good opportunities, very direct, almost always in style. Here he is going right down the middle of the highway, gets some move, gets some separation, and just scuffs the opportunity. Probably right now the best chance in for either team so far in the first half. If Valesky connects on that, Ryan Mira might be picking the ball out of his goal.
Forbes swims it wide. Canardo Forbes playing more central in this game, pulling the strings for this Rhinos team. Tergu cutting in field now, looking for the feet of Dos Santos. And then the shot, and it'll go out for a corner kick. Brandon Beresford, Guyana International, with that shot.
And this was a nice opportunity here. Now we've seen a couple times where Rochester has taken opportunities from distance. This one just skimming about 1.5 feet, 2 feet to the left of Ryan Mira in goal. But that's what happens when a defense doesn't do a good job, effective job of clearing the ball, getting on up. Opportunities like that happen.
So Ryan Mira will now marshal his defense. Looks like a little bit of a conversation as one of the New York Red Bulls two players is down. It looks like it's Aaron Long. You can become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content.
Not just Facebook, but Twitter as well.
They're everywhere.
This social media thing, I think, is going to take off.
You think so? You think it's
know.
a good investment? You can also tweet at NYRB2 or tweet NYRVROC with the hashtag, and we will answer any questions that we can. Anything that comes up of relevance. If you noticed, like I did, that I called New York Red Bulls 2 and Rochester interstate rivals, even though one's in New Jersey and one's in New York, and want to comment on that, feel free. The Rochester supporters we mentioned making their way down here. Just a few weeks ago, some New York Red Bull supporters went up to Rochester, and John Wolyniec leading his team out. He's a guy who knows this market pretty well, Christian. In his time with Rochester, he has played all over the U.S. soccer
Is there a
pyramid.
market John Wolyniec doesn't know well?
That's exactly what I was just saying. He has played anywhere that they'll roll a ball out, really, around the U.S., and has come back around. He helped New York Red Bulls 2 qualify for the playoffs in their first season, and now has them in second place. And a change for New York's plans here, and this is going to get interesting. It looks like Aaron Long's afternoon is finished as he walks off. We talked about how fantastic he's been playing. Wolyniec calling him the most consistent player on the team. Tim Schmoll is preparing to come on. Tim Schmoll, technically the only defender on the bench, and we know Damian Parnell has a limit to the minutes he's played. He's going to play in this game. So the Swiss man out of Harvard University comes on at 6'6" to play in center back.
Did someone say Schmoll Sanity?
Schmoll Sanity, Insanity.
Tim Sanity.
Bachmanity. Corner kick coming here for Forbes. Forbes curls it in to the head of Tosh, looking to score once again. against New York Red Bulls too, but putting it just a little bit too high.
And that's been now 2 good dead ball situations from Forbes. First one coming in there on the set piece that was on the right side, being able to swing it in. No one was there, making that secondary run. And now finding the head of one of his teammates there on a corner kick. Forbes has done a very good job providing 2 good opportunities for a first half that's clearly tilting in the direction of Rochester so far through about 23 minutes of play.
Bonomo, the collision, he gets called with the foul. No Czech Umbai on the bench today. Zumana Simpara, who's played up top and on the wing. Florian Velo, who we saw come in for Etienne Jr. last week. Vincent Bessacourt, more of a holding midfielder. David Najem on the bench, as well as Rafael Diaz. We could be seeing Stefano Bonomo drop in at center back once again. It was a project that they've tried this season as Speedy Williams intercepts this one. He plays it over the top for Allen. Allen in a foot race, he's able to get there first, looking to find a way to get a shot off. Eventually the pass, and it's cleared. Now Speedy Williams to the feet of Flemings. His first touch just a little bit too messy there, and he's able to keep it under possession.
What a nice ball there from Devin Speedy Williams, being able to put that in right into the path of Junior Flemings.
Bonomo gets the header there off the cross from Carroll, and he puts it out. So we could see one of the fullbacks slot in at center back at some point.
Or go with 3 in the back, perhaps, at some point.
Or go with 3 in the back. What would you do, Christian, if you were in charge?
I think the option of 3 in the back, if Damian Paranel can't go perhaps another 10 or 15 minutes, they just feel physically that he's not in a good spot. I certainly think probably going with a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or whatever variation it might end up being would probably be the most natural thing in terms of putting the players where they're going to be a natural fit rather than trying to do some square pegs, round hole type of scenario.
Noah Powder, who's been a consistent starter at fullback for this team. I'll get to that in a second. Valesky goes by 2 defenders. Chance to shoot now, and Mira makes the save. Follow-up coming for Rochester, and it's cleared by Schmoll. Christian Valesky skins 2 center backs there in a row, and Ryan Mira, Christian, with the giant save.
And looking very dangerous there, taking the ball past Damian Paranel, just kind of nicking it between the legs. I'm not quite sure if we call that a Meg David or not, but it was certainly some subtle play. And Valesky now, with better finishing, would be looking at a brace.
Christian Valesky, the leading goal scorer on this team with 5 so far this season. He's had 2 good looks already this afternoon. He could have had Rochester up in this one as they continue to battle away at 0-0. Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information, or go to nike.com/soccer. New York Red Bulls, too, hosting the Rochester Rhinos for the 2nd time already this season. Locked in at 0-0 so far. The biggest news of the afternoon, Aaron Long, who has been a consistent presence at center back, going off with an injury just a few moments ago, and Tim Schmoll coming off the bench. New York Red Bulls, too, trying to cut the lead at the top of the Eastern Conference to just a single point with a victory, as well as knock off Rochester for the first time in their franchise's history. The Rochester Rhinos are trying to make it back-to-back wins. They knocked off Pittsburgh at home last week. They will face off against the new darlings of the USL, FC Cincinnati, next week before starting a 3-game homestand for the Rhinos. So if you're in Rochester, don't forget to get on out for those games. Playva switches the field.
Talk about a gutsy ball right there, right across the face of his box. Takes a lot of confidence.
Fleming's trying to work out of some trouble. Williams playing it back to Schmoll, who's under pressure.
And Red Bull, too, right now, just really struggling to get any kind of cohesion in the final third, just kind of pumping the ball up to Brandon Allen when they have the opportunities, and just so much difficulty building anything. Usually it's the combination play in the midfield that's the strength of this team. Now it looks like without a Sean Davis, who's had several appearances with the USL team, Tyler Adams, who's out with that concussion, suffered with the under-18 national team a few weeks ago. This squad is just having a really hard time building anything and being able to give quality service.
That one will go out off of Bonomo, and one of the names that we not normally say when New York Red Bulls 2 are playing well is Etienne Jr., and he has not gotten a lot of touches so far in this one, Christian.
And playing a little bit more of a central role now with Metzger kind of holding tucked in behind him, and Devin Speeding Williams also in that holding role next to Dan Metzger. But I think Etienne, perhaps when he's central, isn't quite as effective as when he's out wide. He can float out wide, take players on 1v1. Here in a little bit more of a playmaking role, looking to do that final pass, maybe not necessarily where his comfort level is going to be at this stage in his development.
Cross whipped in from the left side by Ugarte. And it'll roll out of bounds harmlessly. Of note for this Rochester team, I mentioned Kennardo Forbes wearing the armband this afternoon. Both Tony Walls and Mike Garzi, who are the actual co-captains of this squad, out with an injury. So a large part of the leadership of this team, as Conrad Pleva is able to save that and keep it inbound.
Another dicey pass, though, from a Red Bulls defender across the face of goal, something that could very easily lead to Ryan Mira in a one-on-one situation.
That one's knocked away. And Christian, it's been interesting. A little bit of high press to make it tough for New York to build out of the back for a team in Rochester who regularly will drop 11 guys behind the ball, even when it's out around midfield. So maybe Coach Lilly trying to take advantage here, Christian, and throw things up a little bit.
Yeah, and Red Bulls, too, having a hard time building out of the back. And then the midfield cohesion right now, it's just entirely disjointed. We're not seeing the ball getting out wide into dangerous places like we usually do. So, it's going to be a challenge for John Wallach. This certainly wasn't the game plan, what they anticipated seeing from Rochester, a team comfortable sitting back, defending, kind of playing what was that style of the Italian teams in the 1990s, kind of being willing to commit 10 field players behind the ball to that defensive scheme. So it's going to be interesting to see how Red Bull 2, with a little bit of a thinner bench than they usually have, comes out and attacks this scenario in the second half.
Our head coach, Bob Lilly, a native of Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, so a chance to come home in this one for him. I mentioned his success almost everywhere, both indoor and outdoor. With the Hershey Wildcats, was named Coach of the Year. Ended up in Montreal winning the Canadian Championship. Won the USL Championship with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Actually did that at Rochester before going to Detroit and then winning the 2015 championship with the Rochester Rhinos. And that match, of course, as well as all USL matches this year, are available live free and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on the USL YouTube channel. You can go to NewYorkRedBulls.com for all home matches for New York Red Bulls 2, as well as all your news and notes. Moves, transfers coming constantly for this NYRB2 team. This is going to be a free kick against Zach Carroll, and that ball looked like it was rolling out of bounds, Christian. And now Rochester gets a great set-piece opportunity.
Yeah, and it's another opportunity there for Forbes, who's already had two tremendous dead ball situations. Let's see what he can conjure from here.
So once again, it'll be Forbes. He's got Dos Santos, Farrell, Valesky, as well as Fall in the box to aim at. Don't forget Sean Tosh, who absolutely loves to score against this team. 31 minutes in here. Kennardo Forbes puts the free kick in. Mira punches it. It'll go out. So we'll do this one again. This time a corner kick. Kennardo Forbes trying to sneak it in maybe a little bit between Mira and his near post. Forbes will take once again. Floats this one to the back post. And a free kick will go against Rochester. New York Red Bulls 2 comes out unscathed from those two opportunities.
Yeah, and again, it's a matter of organization. Red Bull 2, I think, having a hard time finding where they're supposed to be, perhaps not prepared to see Forbes, who doesn't always take the free kicks on this team, of this Rochester team, just not knowing exactly where it's going to be, where the ball's going to go. And this has probably been the worst 30 minutes of soccer I've seen from Red Bulls 2 so far this year.
New York Red Bulls 2 have been high-flying this season. They've also only conceded 8 goals. They lead the USL in that number, a plus 15 goal differential. But we mentioned it, 0-0 draw in the first matchup against Rochester. So far, 33 minutes in, the offense yet to get going for New York after they scored early goals in the last few home games against Richmond, as well as against Wilmington and Charlotte. And Rochester continues to be successful in this matchup.
And winning the second balls as well, building, sustaining that pressure.
Metzger with the interception. Brandon Allen with the layoff. Bonomo tries to find the streaking Etienne Jr., and it's intercepted and go back the other way for Rochester. Speedy Williams with plenty of time. And you see a little frustration from Williams after he played the ball, pointing out, saying he doesn't really have options in front of him.
Very little movement. And for a player like Speedy Williams, who I think has probably been the best player so far for Red Bull 2, along with Dan Metzger, that ability to be able to play the ball out wide. This is a very narrow, very compact offensive style of play right now from Red Bull 2 that is playing into the hands of Rochester, a team that's going to, at least in this match, has been pressing very high, is compacting the field, does a great job defensively closing down. They need to be pulled apart and stretched apart, and right now, no one on Red Bull 2 is doing that.
Bonomo with the early cross with his left foot. It's intercepted by Tosh. Junior Flemings beats the first man, gets by 2, and then it's taken away. Well handled there by Wall Fall out of Nuremberg, Germany. And
you know you've had a good Friday night, David, when you've had a wall fall.
I have no response to that. Brandon Allen in a race on the top of the box. Two bodies connect. A foul is called, and it looks like it's in favor of Rochester. A little frustration there from Brandon Allen. Got his 5th goal of the season last week to go along with his 2 assists. And Christian, he just has not gotten a lot of looks so far in this game.
No, he definitely hasn't. And part of it's the long ball style, the ball being played with him as a hold-up forward rather than into space. Really frustrating Brandon Allen's style, liking to run onto the ball and then take a quick shot, playing it back post. This right now, him in the hold-up play, really frustrating to what he wants to do.
Check out @USL Soccer on Instagram to see match highlights and action shots from games around the USL. Christian, about 10 minutes left here in this first half. If you're Coach Lilly, how happy are you with this performance so far?
Well, I'm very happy at the Rochester fans who were just serenading me a few moments ago with there's only one Bob Lilly. So, I mean, that makes for a great afternoon. But I think he has to be pleased with the way his team is performing right now. Win a week ago at Pittsburgh was a little bit of a gut check for them. And now they're following it up with a very good, solid 35 minutes. They played physically in a smart way. They've connected well with a good finish from Christian Valesky or 2. This score line wouldn't be 0-0. They've clearly been the better team against probably the hottest team in the USL over the past month and a half.
Rochester now knocking it around, making New York work a little bit. The foul will go against Speedy Williams.
And there's no reason to make that foul right there. I think Speedy Williams has a tremendous future as a professional soccer player at the USL, or I think other levels are going to be out there for him. But we've seen now about 4 or 5 times from the Red Bulls fouls near the midfield line where they don't need to be committed, where they can contain, let Rochester try to make an errant pass and then pounce on it. Instead, Red Bulls are giving them a restart and fresh opportunity.
Dos Santos with the flick, and it's blocked by Perinel. A dangerous cross for him, and then cleared out towards Allen.
But why? Why the long ball? You're not under pressure right now. You see Brandon Allen in a hold-up situation. I know Brandon Allen's a big guy, but 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be the way he wants the ball, where he's most effective. Take the ball, play it out wide, try to get on the counterattack. Instead, they lose possession, and it kind of takes them again out of the flow of the game.
New York on the ball here. Christian, if you're John Wolyniec, you getting into halftime and it's still 0-0 like this, what would you say to this team? What are you maybe tweaking?
Well, I think one of the things right now is they're lacking that speedy guy out there on out wide. And I'm not talking about Speedy Williams. I'm talking about someone who's going to be a burner out there, who's going to stretch things. I mean, if you're looking at Brandon Allen to play as a target forward in this game, who's going to play off of him? Stefano Bonomo? I don't know if he's had a touch within 20, 25 yards of goal. Junior Flemings had one good opportunity, but he's found this game difficult to get into. So if I'm John Wolyniec, I'm looking at ways to get the ball out wide in 1v1 situations. It's going to help. It's going to be a relief for the back four when they need to get rid of the ball quickly under pressure. But right now they need someone to stretch this game, because they're playing in about a 15, 20-yard period of grass centrally, and it's just not working.
Metzger with the blast, the quickly taken free kick from Speedy Williams. And that one going over the top of Tomas Gomez's goal. Adam Grinwis got the start last week. Grinwis has started 8 games so far this season for this Rochester team. Gomez here with his 6th start of the season. Schmoll under some pressure. He handles that well. Metzger will switch the field. Carroll pinching forward from fullback. His touch a little long, but it works out well for him. And then intercepted by Rochester. Speedy Williams trying to keep it in, and a chance to break now. Valesky down the middle. It's 2-on-1. Tim Schmoll over, and he makes the interception. And Valesky not happy with Dos Santos at all after that play. I think he wanted the pass out in front of him for him to run onto.
But tremendous 1v1 defending there from Tim Schmoll, using his body well, getting between the ball carrier, Valesky, and the goal, just being able to shield things away, win it, and then make quick, decisive clearance of the ball. Tremendous defensive responsibilities there from Tim Schmoll.
Schmoll coming off the bench about 17 minutes ago. Has slotted in cleanly so far in this game. You'll have a chance to see him on Saturday, July 23rd, the next time New York Red Bulls 2 return home, as they host the Charleston Battery. Kickoff is set for 4 p.m. in that one. For tickets and more info, log on to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223 today. That's 1-877-727-6223 today. New York Red Bulls 2 head out for a little bit of a road trip. FC Montreal next week before matches at Charlotte, the only team they've fallen to so far this season. And then their first opportunity to play at Nyport Stadium in Cincinnati, which has put together record crowds for some of their USL games so far this season. New York Red Bulls 2 currently sitting in second place, just above FC Cincinnati in the standings.
2 games in hand.
And New York Red Bulls 2 sitting in a pretty comfy spot in second place. You mentioned the games in hand on FC Cincinnati as well as on Louisville. But they do need to make those games count and pick up the points. And currently Rochester giving them everything they can handle and more at home. Just about 5 or so minutes left here in the first half. David Goss and Christian Dyer on NewYorkRedBulls.com. New York Red Bulls 2 looking for their first ever victory over Rochester, and we're seeing why it's never happened before. The Rhinos looking very comfortable in this matchup once again. Carroll over to take the throw in deep in the corner. Once again, not much movement in front of the New York player with the ball as Flemings Flick on. Goes easily into the hands of Gomez.
And I'm looking down right now at Jesse Marsh, who's a level below us, seated, kind of watching things. I think he might have a European Championship game on his cell phone right now. But as he takes in this game, I can't help but think that outside of Damian Paranel, who has had his struggles in this match, if he's seeing anyone necessarily who he wants to call upon, who he thinks can be ready for the next level.
Flemings has a chance in here, and he curls his shot just wide of that far post. Finally, the speed gets turned on. Etienne Jr. links up with Flemings and inches wide of the opening goal.
It took 43 minutes for the Red Bulls to finally have that opportunity, but this is what has been vintage for this team over the past 45 days or so. I mean, you look at that ball, that slicing ball in from Etienne, played into space, allowing Junior Flemings full speed ahead. I mean, that's just not a well-taken opportunity at all. But Junior Flemings, you want to get him in those opportunities where he can cut in 1v1, get an opportunity on frame. Red Bulls need more of that now as they close out the first half and the second half. Players running into space, movement, fluid, quick decision, interchange, 1-2 passes, and they're in the final third.
Junior Flemings was looking for his 5th goal of the season. He has 3 assists. He scored from a similar spot against Wilmington last week, roofing his shot into the far upper corner. Was looking for a similar opportunity there. Of course, Jesse Marsh watching Italy face off against Germany in the European Championship quarterfinals. But we thank you for being here on USL YouTube channel or NewYorkRedBulls.com watching New York Red Bulls 2 hosting the Rochester Rhinos. Thomas Gomez was a member of the San Jose Earthquakes after coming out of Georgetown University. He was picked by the New England Revolution, signed with the Earthquakes. And this is his first year now with Rochester. Of course, Georgetown teammates with Brandon Allen, as well as some other New York Red Bull Academy players, because Georgetown has been a pipeline for New York Red Bulls youth players. Aaron Brasulovich, star of the U23 team right now, a member of Georgetown. Mason Deeds, who we've seen play with this New York Red Bulls 2 team this year, headed to Georgetown next season. Just a few seconds left here in the first half. Paranel turns that one over to Forbes. 1 minute of stoppage time, a minimum, will be added by our head official. Zach Carroll in a foot race there with Turgu. Ugarte charging up the left side, clips the cross in, but only Conrad Pleva is there. And Junior Flemings looking to get away in the open field, and the free kick will go against him. Just a few seconds left here in the first half. So a last gasp opportunity coming for the Rochester Rhinos to try and take what would be a very nice, comfortable 1-0 lead, considering the amount of opportunities they've given up. Into the halftime locker room. There's no one on the field right now outside of Gomez behind Forbes. Everyone is forward. Ball clipped into the far side. It's headed down, but into the safe arms of Ryan Mira.
And at a 4th dead ball opportunity for Rochester that led to at least a halfway decent, a half chance there on goal. Emphatic first half from Rochester.
So Bob Lilly's 2015 USL champions come into Red Bull Arena for the second time this year, and for the 3rd straight set of 45 minutes, they have kept New York Red Bulls 2 off the scoreboard, coming off 4 goals.
And, you know, it's the guys want to win a championship for him. When this team won the Supporters' Shield 2 years ago, they wanted to make sure that he got the opportunity to kiss that shield.
New York Red Bulls 2 potentially could be looking at a little silverware themselves this year, sitting in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. Potential to get to 1st place. But Rochester Rhinos have, I have to say, controlled this game for much of the first half.
controlled it and put it on their terms. I mean, the game was played the way that they wanted it to be played. Coming out pressing, I think surprising the Red Bulls to a certain extent, overrunning that three-man midfield that they had, playing the ball long and direct, and really frustrating the Red Bulls build up a team that likes that quick interchange, moving off the ball into space, and the Red Bulls narrowing it, making things even more difficult on themselves.
So it looks like Najem's going to go in at right back, and Zach Carroll will move into center back alongside Tim Schmoll. So the center back pairing completely different from the one we started with for New York Red Bulls too. Najem was Ivy League Offensive Player of the Year his senior year in college, getting his opportunity to play on the defensive side here this afternoon.
And a quick shout out, as we always do, to the New York Red Bulls, NY Red Bulls discussion group on there. John Amaral and Eric Friedlander, the finest from UMass Amherst, out there talking about the game. Guys, we always appreciate your feedback and for putting up with us in this exciting 0-0 match.
And that background noise that you've heard throughout this game as the ball gets clipped over to the far side. But Nomo's able to keep it alive. It's headed away. Etienne Jr. with the soft left-footed shot, and it'll roll wide. One of the better looks of the game, though, to open up this second half for New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, and Stefano Bonomo finding a little bit of space on that right wing right there. Remember, that's the same side of the Rochester defense where Derek Etienne was able to spring Junior Fleming, sending the ball across. Maybe perhaps if he had another opportunity, would have driven it a little bit more low post, see what could have happened there. But that's going to be the key for the Red Bulls, the quick interchange, finding space. If Rochester gets settled and compact and gets that line of four, the next line of four in front of them in the midfield, those two blocks of four, they're incredibly tough to break down.
Forbes gets away, trying to find the feet of Dos Santos. And they'll roll out of bounds for the throw in. Bernardo Forbes playing in that central midfield. Metzger's touch is a little long. He's able to keep it under control. Finally winning the free kick. Etienne Jr. trying to stretch his legs a little bit. He pulls up after the play. See him crouched over. Now he's right back on the ball, though. Fleming's out wide. He's got two defenders around him immediately. He's able to keep possession. The cross is blocked. And Valesky launched the counterattack the other way. Garty's pass is intercepted. Speedy Williams will take it. New York couldn't get into a flow offensively in the first half, coming off a commanding 4-0 win against Wilmington here last week. The forced substitution of Perry Nell made, but no other moves made by Coach Wolenek. He still has a few offensive options on the bench. Florian Velo, who had an assist just minutes after coming on last week for the first time ever, as well as Zumana Simpara, Malian, U17 international, who's played up top and on the wings. See Coach Wolenek watching out. Was drafted by the New York Metro Stars, then released and ended up in Rochester before going back to Major League Soccer with Chicago Fire, playing alongside Jesse Marsh.
And one of the few players in MLS history to play both for the Metro Stars and the New York Red Bulls. Can you name some of the other ones?
Dave Vandenberg.
Oh, Vandenberg was a Red Bull only.
Mike Petke.
Mike Petke. Who would be his center back pairing in 2000, 2001? He's a jolly good fellow, Dave. Come on. Steve Jolly.
Junior Fleming's on the run, and he takes the shot, trying to save me from having My momentary mental lapse. This is Steve Jolly. You could, of course, hear on New York Red Bulls radio.
Alongside Matt Harmon.
Alongside Matt Harmon for all of New York Red Bulls Major League Soccer action, as well as U.S. Open Cup action. New York Red Bulls falling to the Philadelphia Union midweek. Ryan Meara, though, getting the start in that one.
And speaking of which, Tony Meola playing both for the Metro Stars and the Red Bulls. Well, Metro Fanatic would be so proud of me right now.
How'd you feel about Ryan Meara's performance in that game with the first team, as well as so far here today?
I think he did some good things to enhance perhaps what could be by the end of the year his standing as the number 2 goalkeeper on this team. Listen, Ryan Meara, when he came into this league in 2011, I don't think a whole lot was expected of him as a rookie out of Fordham. But then all of a sudden put together what was going to be, I think, an MLS Rookie of the Year performance up until he suffered a terrible hip injury at the New England Revolution, and the Irish under-21 national team was calling him. Listen, I think Ryan Meara's finally back from that injury. Sounds funny to say 4.5 years later, but those kind of injuries are horrific for a goalkeeper. He's getting down well. He's smothering the ball. I think Ryan Meara is going to be an MLS starter again soon. It's just that he's in a situation right now where Luis Robles, who should be in the talk of the national team pool, is ahead of him and playing so well week in, week out.
And one of the big talking points around these parts, the current holders of the CCL championship, as well as tied for the most Liga MX championships in history, Club America is coming into this building Wednesday evening to play in a friendly against the New York Red Bulls, and we expect a guy like Ryan Meara, a lot of the guys on the field here, to get a big opportunity to play in that game, similar to what we saw against Chelsea, Christian, last summer here at Red Bull Arena.
And probably a smattering of first-team players as well. I would imagine Kyle Rainish would probably get the look in goal, the backup goalkeeper, who will be the backup tomorrow against New York City FC. I would think that might be the opportunity to see Sean Wright-Phillips as well, Sean Davis, some of those players who are first-team guys primarily get those minutes.
Bonomo with the cross. It's blocked immediately by Fall and cleared away. A huge moment for New York Red Bull as an organization with the goals by Tyler Adams, Franklin Castellanos last year to knock off Chelsea 4-2. The New York Red Bull 2s in their first year, a lot of the young players showing what they're capable of on the highest level, and another big opportunity coming in that game as well. It's really changed the nature of those friendlies that you now have the opportunity. It used to, be a little bit just a run out just to get it done. But now with the chance for young players to play against some of the top players in the world, it brings on a whole new element.
Yeah, who would have thought, this time a year ago that Sean Davis and Tyler Adams perhaps would be foreshadowing the problems that Chelsea and Jose Mourinho were going to have with each other.
Yeah, I think Colin Heffron ruined Branislav Ivanovic's career in that game as the throw-in comes quickly. A foul in the corner, and it'll be a free kick in a great position for Rochester. Turgu going down and holding his knee. And it looks like Speedy Williams will get a little bit of color here as he picks up the yellow card.
Second yellow card of the match for the Red Bulls.
Aaron Long picking up the other yellow card. Then going out with an injury. So Speedy Williams picks up the yellow here in the 55th minute. Turgu, an interesting story, coming over from France to play at Southern New Hampshire University, where former New York Red Bull 2 striker Chris Sonis is the all-time leading goal scorer.
I did not know that.
You learn something new every day. You can hear and see Oak Street Bridge, as well as Flower City Stampede supporters groups. Sorry, Oak Street Brigade. I don't know why I'd say bridge. Behind the goal. Now Ryan Meara will have to defend it. Canardo Forbes, once again with the set piece service. He's got all the big options in the box. Can this be the one to break through for Rochester?
Bend it like Forbes.
Forbes puts it in. Right past Meara and in. And it will be called off. An offside call. I don't know if anyone actually got a touch to it. This might be passive offside. And now our head official going over to talk about it to see if the play was affected. Mark Katalich, our head official, as I mentioned. And no goal will be called. It's waved off. Rochester Rhinos denied the potential opening goal. And New York Red Bulls, too, quite fortunate to still be level here, Christian, at 0-0.
Yeah, what a golden opportunity there. Conardo Forbes doing a tremendous job sending that to the back post where the runners were on the spot. And like you, David, I'm not sure if anyone got ahead on that. But what a tough break and quite frankly, a goal that would have been very much deserved for a Rochester team who's had the run of play. Forbes doing so well, sending this here to the back post. And I guess yeah.
Seems to be passive offside call, clearly affecting the play. Whether the offside call is correct or not, we don't know. But that ball went in untouched. But the assistant referee saying that Ryan Mira was affected. Keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL and its 29 teams. Etienne Jr. puts this one in. Can New York get their own opportunity here? Metzger goes towards the end line, gets the cross away. Tosh controls it easily and then clears it out. So a wake-up call maybe, Christian, as New York Red Bulls too see the ball hit the back of the net and are still level at 0-0. That's as big a wake-up call as you're going to get in the game. Forbes down the line towards Dos Santos. The battle of the giants there between Dos Santos and Tim Schmoll.
He's tall.
6'6" out of Geneva, Switzerland. Played a little central midfield center back at Harvard University. I think it's a school up in Boston, but I'm not quite sure. Steven Dos Santos coming over from Cape Verde, playing professionally in his home country of Cape Verde as well as in Norway.
High press, good win there by Pleva, but then turning the ball over.
Now Rochester tries to work their way out of it. Forbes is able to beat the initial pressure from Metzger. Etienne Jr. gets a toe to it. And now Williams has it under control. Long switch of the field, Williams to Flemings. Two Jamaican internationals.
But why? Why send that ball to Junior Flemings in that space right there? That's what I don't understand about the Red Bulls' attack so far today. Playing the long ball quickly to someone who isn't necessarily a target forward, not into space, but one that he'd have to go out there and win. Disjointed and just really lacking kind of that final linking that they need to be effective in this game.
Beresford. Fergu trying to find Dos Santos for the layoff. Steven Dos Santos, a nice sized target for the midfielders behind him. Try and find a head or a chest to lay the ball off from. And we talk about the short but very intense history between these two teams, Christian, and the inability for New York Red Bulls too to really put together a strong performance against this Rochester team.
And I think to a certain extent it's getting to their head. They see those yellow jerseys. They know what Rochester brings. They go out there in the field. And I think Rochester, it seems like every time these teams play, early on sends some sort of a statement, whether it's a scoring opportunity, whether it's a foul. They let the Red Bulls know that you're not going to be able to come in and play the style of play you're accustomed to. And I think it's good coaching from Bob Lilly. I think it takes Red Bull very much out of sync, David. And right now at this point, it's just frustration being built upon frustration for Red Bull 2.
Thomas Gomez with the punt. It's flicked on by Valesky, controlled by New York. Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. And you can continue to hear the supporters sing. You can come out to Red Bull Arena all season to watch this New York Red Bulls 2 team play. But Christian, next
Their
year,
final season at Red Bull Arena.
you're going to have to go to a different location. Montclair State University and their soccer complex will host the New York Red Bulls 2.
My alma mater.
Is it?
It is.
Wow.
It's where I played my college soccer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Intramurals or?
College soccer.
Oh, yeah?
College soccer, yes.
And tell us a little bit about that facility then.
It's going to be a beautiful facility that they're going to have at Pitzer Field. It's going to be a real upgrade in terms of the seating they're going to have is going to be about 3,500 to begin with the idea of being able to expand in 2018 to 5,000. Montclair's an area with a soccer-rich community, a lot of club teams in and around the Montclair area, Clifton, Totowa, all big-time soccer communities. I think the local community is going to come out and support it. Certainly, it's going to be a professional environment the players are going to be in, and it's going to be great for Montclair State University as well. They're going to be able to take advantage of the facilities, the fund that New York Red Bulls is pouring into the facility to make it probably one of the premier facilities, soccer facilities in the nation.
Free kick called right on the edge of the box here. Junior Flemings thought he was going to get away. Fall making the tackle. And he's not happy with the call as we see the replay here. Etienne Jr., similar to the first half, playing it into the path of Flemings. And Fall felt like he got all of the ball. That was unavoidable.
I think he might have a very good argument right there.
So a dangerous free kick will go to New York. You got to think this Rochester team is frustrated after getting that goal called off. Brandon Allen with his left foot and Derek Etienne's right foot are standing over this one, a three-man wall. And it'll be New York to take it. Trying to take the lead for the first time ever against the Rochester Rhinos. It's Brandon Allen's shot, and he hits it on the ground, off the wall and out for a corner kick.
I'm not sure if that was the best opportunity there.
Brandon Allen looking for his sixth goal of the season.
When you're a striker, you always want the ball. You always want to take those opportunities there. But you got the ball. It's to try to fire it in near post, get it in there with just a couple inches of room. I think it would have been better to have sent it across the 6-yard box.
Fleming's out now to take it. He's got Etienne Jr. right there. See in the center of your screen to go short to, which he will. Back to Speedy Williams. Williams curls it to the far post, and Gomez with the catch under pressure takes the contact, holds on, and gets the free kick.
Good solid win right there, though, from Gomez to come on out. He has Stefano Bonomo, a big body, coming crashing inside the 6-yard box, holding onto the ball and making sure he secured it before he goes down.
New York Red Bulls 2 ran this exact play last week to let Speedy Williams clip the ball in. Thomas Gomez goes down. Speaking of Gomez, his namesake, future MLS designated player mistake, Mario Gomez, is playing for Germany right now. They're tied 1-1 against Italy.
You said future MLS designated player?
Mistake. You have to get the whole thing in there. Christian Dyer and David Goss here at Red Bull Arena, New York Red Bulls 2, up against their old nemesis, the Rochester Rhinos, who continue to, I guess you could say, dominate this matchup between the two, not just in this game, but over the course of the last year and a half. We are locked in at 0-0, although it could be 1-0 Rochester.
If you're not dominating, are you just nading?
Or are you doming? Corner kick coming for Canardo Forbes. I mentioned wearing the captain's armband. Mike Garzi not injured. He is getting married today.
And these free kicks and dead ball situations have been worth the price of admission here at Red Bull Arena from Forbes so far. Almost everyone's been dangerous or on the spot.
Still knocked around the box after Bonomo won the initial header. And James is able to come away with it in the box. He curls it to the far side. Forbes now with the volley, and it's blocked
And James
fighting a
perhaps
gem.
being a little unselfish right there. The opportunity would have been to have gone back post himself, but Forbes being able to, try to one-time that effort there was a good idea.
And a second substitution of the game coming for New York. Third. Florian Velo is coming on here in the 66th in place of Derek Etienne Jr. Same move we saw made last week. And Etienne Jr. has been as bright a player for this New York Red Bulls 2 team over the last year and a half as anyone has been. He's become a player that's heavily relied on in the attack with 2 goals and 3 assists this year. Christian, how do you rate his performance this afternoon?
It was a match I think was always going to be difficult for him to find himself. Not a free-flowing kind of match, a match where Rochester has done a very good job when New York's had the ball, closing down on space. Etienne does so well when he can do the quick interchanges, the free-flowing passes, and Rochester has done a tremendous job of taking New York out of their style and their system, the flow that they want to have. This was probably one of the weaker performances we've seen from Derek Etienne so far this season, but it's going to be a growing opportunity for this young man.
A huge set piece coming here for the Rhinos. We just saw moments ago New York have a chance on the edge of the box. And Brandon Allen blasted into the wall. And now a chance for Kenardo Forbes. He hit a gorgeous curling shot last week against Pittsburgh from a similar spot. That was saved, of course. We'll see if the threat comes again. Valesky goes down on the top of the box, and then the call goes in favor of Dos Santos just moments later. It's Forbes and Ugarte standing over this one. Forbes with the right foot and Ugarte with the left.
How can he not let Forbes take this one the way he's been striking the ball today?
2 Rochester players in the box. Forbes runs over it, curls the shot, and it's punched away by Ryan Mira.
What a well-taken ball right there, and good control from Mira, who really could have cheated there to the other side, but to stand his ground, trust his instincts and his wall. But Forbes, throughout this match, hitting the ball so well. I like the idea he was going to go back post there. A lot of goalkeepers are going to cheat. He was hoping to catch Ryan Mira perhaps in that situation flat-footed.
The Kingston, Jamaica native, like you said, not going up over the wall, but goes around it. Had 3 goals and 5 assists last year in 27 appearances. His first year with Rochester. He played in upstate New York for 3 years with the Syracuse Silver Knights of indoor soccer after coming over from Jamaica. This one flicked on over the top. Bonomo in a foot race. And Fall will clear it out for a corner kick, just barely. So the new man, Florian Velo, will take over set piece responsibilities. He curled in a free kick minutes after coming on last week for Aaron Long's goal to pick up his first assist. Let's see if the Frenchman can do it again. Velo with the set piece service on the near post, and it's flicked on. And then a foul called against Zach Carroll way after the play. It'll go in favor of
Sometimes
Rochester.
you just have to let there be some sort of physical contact. This isn't the NBA here. These are grown men, David. Come on, let them play.
Of course, Florian Velo from France, similar to Joachim Noah, who's headed our way currently. I'm sure Christian Dyer is locked in on that one.
Not in the least.
Velo spent 2 years at Rider University after coming over to the U.S., playing in the academy for PSG and Monaco in his native France.
He was one of the players that was identified by the Red Bulls when they had a big camp in January before the MLS Super Draft. They took a look at him and several of the other players, and he stood out.
In trouble here, Brandon Allen, after the play, colliding with Thomas Gomez, and he'll pick up a yellow card. So the 3rd yellow card of the game, and all 3 going to New York. Here in the 71st minute, And as a maturity level for a team, not just individually, Rochester Rhinos clearly have New York Red Bulls 2 numbered. This is a young team. How does New York Red Bulls 2 go about staying inside their own game and being successful against this team?
Well, not the way that they just did right here with Brandon Allen making a challenge on a ball where Tomas Gomez clearly had the beat on the ball. He had come out, he had challenged it. It's going to be a ball that Brandon Allen's never going to win, and yet he comes out there and makes a foolish challenge. You can't get suckered in games like this where you're taken out of your flow, you're taken out of your rhythm. Rochester's, not playing a dirty game, not fouling a lot. You got to kind of stick with who you are and find ways to frustrate the other team in return.
Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information, or go to nike.com/soccer as Ryan Mira makes another save. He made 4 saves in the first half, and he's been equal to that already here in the second half.
And what's so good about this from Ryan Mira is just to see the development over the past year or so in terms of his shot blocking ability with low shots. He's a taller goalkeeper. With the hip injury he had a few years ago, it seemed like he was hesitant at times. And seeing him 2 years ago with the Red Bulls, last year with City FC, and now in these matches over the past couple months, Open Cup included, earlier this week against Philadelphia, he's getting down low, he's smothering, quick, instinctive reactions. Ryan Mira's back.
You mentioned City FC. New York Red Bulls head to Yankee Stadium tomorrow, noon on ESPN, 12:30 kickoff, as New York Red Bulls look to continue their hex on crosstown rivals NYCFC, as Bradley Camden checks in here off the bench. Rochester trying to turn New York green for at least the night. Long ball over the top from Flemings towards Velo. Velo is able to get a little bit of a step. Tough shot coming here, and Gomez makes the save.
Good burst there from Velo to be able to get to the ball, realize his opportunity was at the back post, and try to take a crack at it.
It was Brandon Beresford who came off. Kadem checking on. Kadem, another native of Paris, out on the field. Similar to Velo, but was raised in Canada. Came out of UNLV and was drafted by the Colorado Rapids. Didn't end up signing, and now here, his 11th appearance for the Rhinos this season. Rochester, a championship last year, but a little bit of a chaotic offseason. Coming under a new ownership group. They seem to be rounding back into form. As Bonomo's cross will flash across the box, and no one will get a touch to it. Nice new turf laid down at Salin Stadium up in Rochester. The team, we said, going toe-to-toe with New York. MLS team.
They had some opportunities in that match to knock off the MLS team. I mean, Rochester seems like their identity, their cohesion has been coming together in the past couple weeks. And if we can just give a quick shout out, David, if you give me permission to do that, I get the thumbs up, head nod to Brian Donahue and his wife Ashlyn, celebrating their 4th anniversary this weekend. Brian is a huge New York Red Bulls 2 fan, always talking about the young players on the academy and the Facebook. First anniversary with their son Braden as well. So happy anniversary to the Donahues, the 3 of them out there, and big supporter of youth soccer in the tri-state area, and real good guy.
And Mike Garzi, we mentioned getting married this weekend. It's going to be your anniversary as well.
Yeah, congratulations to my wife on being married to me.
Absolutely. And a quick personal shout out. Happy birthday to Sam Goss, my older sister. As her birthday is July 4th as well, and to America.
What are you getting her for her birthday?
Most likely nothing.
Gift certificate.
Yeah. And happy Canada Day to anyone out there.
And maybe 3 points for Rochester if they're able to continue this sustained pressure.
15 minutes left, Christian. And New York's had some looks in the second half, but you have to think, like you just said, that if someone's going to get a winner here, it most likely will come in yellow.
Yeah, when I was a single man, I used to get looks from the ladies too, but it didn't mean anything till the conversation. And Red Bull hasn't had a conversation right now in the offensive third, disjointed, unable to flow. It's been a very difficult match, and Rochester has played this match perfectly. Valesky doesn't scuff that first opportunity. You're looking at a real good 3 points there.
Well, this match and all USL matches are available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on the USL YouTube channel today. The action coming here. Florian Velo, another fantastic set-piece opportunity. Curls it to the far post. Schmoll gets a foot to it, and it's saved by Gomez.
And Schmoll using his body so well, his length to reach across the body of the defender. But what a nice delivery here from Velo into the box. Schmoll timing it perfectly. Probably the best opportunity for New York Red Bull 2 in this entire match. Schmoll very nearly putting it across frame.
Valesky almost getting on the end of that full field punt from Gomez.
And I know we were talking about the Montclair State facility before and just how important that's going to be to have these players be in an environment that really fits what the USL is all about, that really fits their growing and emerging talent level. I think it's been a lot of good work from Sean Oliver, who does so much work with the MLS team, but also with the USL team in terms of operations. He put in a lot of work with Montclair State University. Rob Chesney, the athletic director over there, former men's soccer coach as well, to really make this thing work, to find a good facility, to find a place willing to work with them, to be able to support what Red Bull 2 is all about. And Sean Oliver's been with this team for, it seems like forever, but at least a dozen years. Was NJ Biz's 40 under 40 last year, which is a big honor in the corporate America community. So, Sean Oliver kind of laboring, if you will, to make this happen and to give an ideal venue for Red Bull 2.
And we believe there'll be U23 action and potentially US Open Cup action as well there. So there'll be a great addition to that soccer community where David Najem is from.
Can I throw an idea out there too? How about Sky Blue plays up there? Good opportunity there with mass transportation to New York City, Montclair. Great soccer community, nice 5,000 seater that could really benefit Sky Blue FC. I want to pitch that idea out there. I like the idea of the team being down at Rutgers, but maybe playing a few games up here in North Jersey, expand that fan base. Sky Blue is based out of Morristown, New Jersey, not too far away from that facility in Montclair. So it just seems like it might be a match made in heaven.
Mira gets his own collision here. We've already seen Gomez go down earlier in this half, and a free kick will go in favor of him.
Dos Santos does not like the color red, does he? It seems like every time he plays this Red Bulls team, there's some sort of altercation, some sort of dust-up between Dos Santos and one of these players. And it just coming charging out there, really has no play on the ball whatsoever, and kind of has to undermine Ryan Mira right there. Very dangerous play. A goalkeeper up there exposed like that.
That was Vincent Bezecourt coming on for New York. St. Francis Brooklyn alumni. Started the year out for New York Red Bulls 2. Was hurt in the second game of the season on the road against Louisville City. Made his return 2 weeks ago against Orlando City, and now gets the start at home finally, as it looks like Wall Fall will pick up the yellow card here in the 80th minute. First yellow card of the game for Rochester. It'll be Velo again. He put in service from this exact spot for the goal last week. No Aaron Long on the field, but can he find another teammate? Velo with the right-footed service, and it's headed away. It looked like James with the initial header, and now Forbes trying to break out. Dos Santos and Williams in a race, and Speedy Williams gets to it first. Finally cleared by Mira.
And you can check out at USL Soccer on Instagram to see match highlights and action shots from games around the USL at USL Soccer on Instagram. Why should you have all the fun?
I wasn't going to go to Instagram, but after I heard you read it, it made it sound so appealing.
I post all my barbecue photos on there.
Big barbecue weekend, July 4th weekend. And we are getting it started here. A little bit of USL action. New York Red Bulls 2. A redo of the Eastern Conference semifinals from 2015. Rochester Rhinos have Red Bulls 2 exactly where they want them. 0-0 heading into the last 10 minutes here at Red Bull Arena as Italy and Germany attempt to miss as many penalty kicks as possible. We are looking for our first goal of the game. Valesky here in the box. The cross blocked. Great close there from Velo, who's been a burst of energy since coming off the bench. Now Bezecourt gets his first touch. He's not able to keep possession. There's a Rochester player down on the field that no one seems to notice, even though the ball is right there, and now finally a stop coming. It looks like Trugu. Asani Samuels is ready to check in. And it looks like it'll be for Christian Valesky.
Rochester Rhinos substitution coming into the game is number 12, Asani Samuels.
So Asani Samuels, for the second straight week, comes off the bench late in the game. A native of Savannah Lamar, Jamaica. Went to Canisius College up in the Buffalo area. Asani Samuels, a fantastic year last year, 2 goals. It was the tying goal and the winning goal in the championship game against LA Galaxy 2. The winner coming in stoppage time.
Also equally busy playing cornerback in the NFL. It's Asante Samuel, yes.
Figured that one out.
No, you didn't.
And appearing on Kroll Show in his own fake prank show.
You would know that.
Of course. Oh, hello, just announcing that they're headed to Broadway. Ryan Meir with the clearance. Ryan Meir looking for back-to-back shutouts. He's had a lot of work to do. He's been the busier of the 2 goalkeepers. But he has been cleaning everything he's had to do as Forbes is able to beat 2 defenders. Carroll over to help. A collision, no call made. And now New York looking to go back the other way.
And Brandon Allen needs to begin controlling himself and his emotions. I know it's been a difficult match for him, but to go up there with the elbow, with the forearm like that, the challenge he had on Gomez a few minutes ago, the goalkeeper come charging out. This is a game where Brandon Allen maybe needs to fit more into the team concept, spring some other players. I know it's a frustrating one. It's been a physical game, but really Brandon Allen needs to begin the maturing process a little bit more right here.
And it looked like Fall talking to the New York bench as he sat on the ground and then being dragged away by his teammate as a substitution. Getting ready for Rochester.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. Rochester Rhinos substitution. Coming to the game is number 6, Mikel Gilroy. He's replacing.
So another substitute coming in for Rochester. Gulavogi coming off the bench in place of Turgu. Here in the 85th minute. Is there a late winner in this one for either of these teams? We've seen extra time goals for both sides in this matchup. We'll see if there is one more left to come. Don't forget, New York Red Bulls 2 head out on a 3-game road trip, but they will return on July 23rd to host the Charleston Battery, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. For tickets and more info, log on to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223 today. Charleston Battery having another phenomenal season after making it to the Eastern Conference semifinals last year as well.
And it looks like it's going to be Simpara coming in for the Red Bulls, their 5th and final substitution, perhaps for Junior Flemings. Simpara's got good speed, good physical strength and size, needs to refine his game a little bit, good in 1v1 situations, a member of that tremendous under-17 national team for Mali a couple seasons ago. They made that great run there in the World Cup, but yeah, he's an exciting player to watch, and I think a real coup there for the Red Bulls when you look at Sheikh Mbaye and some of the other players, Anatole Bong, that they've been able to bring in from Africa over the past couple of years. A lot of good talent that they're beginning to tap from that part of the world.
Rochester's able to snuff out the counterattack. Rochester not sitting back on this one, still looking for a winner here in the 87th minute. The cross comes in. Dos Santos gets a first touch, the shot is blocked, and it's cleared by Najem.
Good decisive clearance there from someone who's usually more of an attacking midfielder in Najem, just getting it out there quickly with some distance.
And this one headed out by Carroll, so another corner kick coming for Rochester. It's been Canardo Forbes all game with the service. Rochester has had opportunity after opportunity. And now, potentially a chance at a game winner.
Which game are we talking about?
Canardo Forbes, the Jamaican captain with the right-footed service, curls it in. It's headed away by New York. A second chance coming now for Forbes. Again, Tim Schmoll this time wins it away. Speedy Williams heads it away. And now Junior Fleming's trying to get out and counter. Against his compatriot, Forbes with the clean tackle.
Uber Deutschland.
So New York Red Bulls 2 with just minutes left. They bring on Zumana Simpara for Brandon Allen. Another one of the young homegrown players on this team. In the 88th minute. As Christian so beautifully put it, Germany knocking off Italy in penalty kicks, in the 8th kick just moments ago. Can New York or Rochester find a dramatic winner in this one?
I'd love to see the USL next year do what MLS used to do. Just do a 10-minute overtime. You've got the 5 substitutions, give teams a 6th substitution maybe or something like that. Give these players a little bit more of an opportunity to get fitness, to develop, to be in those pressure-packed situations. I think it would benefit, in particular, the MLS teams at this level, give even more minutes. I mean, so many of these guys come on for 20, 25 minutes. Another 10 minutes could really help their game and their fitness. You looked at me like I was crazy.
Absolutely. Speedy Williams trying to knock that one down. Forbes gets it forward. Now it's pushed on for the substitute, Asani Samuels. Is there another late winner in his legs? He gets held up by Najem, gets the crossaway, and Speedy Williams going box to cover for his team and puts it out for a corner kick.
Good individual work there from Samuels to realize he was being shut down. Najem doing so well as that outside back on the right side to close down, and then Samuels just turning, being able to find space, continue to make it a dangerous situation.
Free kick now in favor of New York as we approach stoppage time, our 4th official still yet to put up the clock. Ryan Mira, you got to think a much more satisfying shutout this one would be than last week's 4-0 over Wilmington. As we enter stoppage time, a minimum of 4 minutes to be added, so plenty of time for one of these teams, although Rochester looking the more likely to still get a winner. Could be something like last year, we could see both teams score in these next
So
4
what's
minutes.
wrong with having a 10-minute overtime?
I think we could discuss this in overtime, right?
Well, there is no overtime.
Why add to what's wrong with the way the game is played?
I think from a developmental league point of view, being able to get those players some more minutes, crunch time minutes, you put them in a situation at a Nippert Stadium or in Charleston's Blackbound Stadium, something like that, where there's a real good energy and environment. And just to me, as a young player, those are the moments you want. And I think USL should consider something like a 10 or 15-minute overtime and then call it a draw. But give these young players, especially with the number of substitutions you have, the opportunity to play more in crunch time.
Bezecourt knocks that one out in the throw-in for
And
Rochester.
we would get an extra 10% for calling the game.
Bezecourt can't keep possession. Gomez going towards his own net. And he finally clears it out. James brings it down. Forbes has plenty of space towards James down the wing and can't quite find his feet. I would say in response to that, Christian, there are teams that aren't just about development in the league, like Rochester, who wants to win the championship like they did in 2015. It would change the game a little. As Flemings comes down the wing, can he find a winner in regular time here?
And Sempara there making a good run. Flemings with the right idea to play it across the box.
Velo will play it in, and you see Pleva, Carroll, and Schmoll making their way up the field. Bezecourt, Simpara, and Flemings also in the box. Every single player in the box for Rochester to defend. Can New York find a late winner? Bezecourt with the header. It hits the armor body of Fall and goes out of bounds. Bezecourt will take this follow-up here. Left-footed in-swinging service coming. New York Red Bulls 2 looking for the winner in stoppage time, and Gomez goes up and handles it easily. He rushes his team out. About 2.5 minutes into a minimum of 4 minutes of stoppage time here at Red Bull Arena. David Goss and Christian Dyer joining you this July 4th weekend for this opening soccer game. A chance now for Rochester to win it. And the pass just a little too soft, Christian, and now New York can go back the other way.
Yeah, but Schmoll having some difficulty there, clearing the back line, almost leading to the opportunity. There were numbers in the box for Rochester.
Flemings looks to open up. Ugarte makes the tackle, the Providence native. Metzger and Flemings trading off that pass, but a foul will go against Flemings. And that might be it. Not much time left in this one. New York Red Bulls 2, 9-1-4 on the season. 1-1-3 at home, though. They've done most of the work on the road. The second time here, they're hosting Rochester. And it looks like we might be headed to a second 0-0 draw here at Red Bull Arena. Bob Lilly tries to push his numbers up for potentially one last chance. And it looks like a throw-in is called in favor of Rochester. Ugarte is down on the ground. Rochester thinks they have a free kick. That is not the case.
These two teams definitely do not like each other right now, and I think that's great for the USL to begin to see some of these regional rivalries developing. It's not an interstate rivalry necessarily, but it is a big one. I think when you look in terms of proximity, you look in terms of the professionalism that Rochester has carried themselves as a franchise for the better part of 20 years or so in the United States, what they meant to the old A-League and USISL, and just how established they are as a franchise. So I think that this is a good thing to see that these are two teams, clearly when they see each other, they just don't like each other.
Bob Lilly's squad comes into Red Bull Arena for a second time this year, and they hold a shutout. New York Red Bulls 2, 7 games unbeaten, but Rochester continues to climb the standings, and they get themselves a big road point to move to 22 points on the season. New York Red Bulls 2 will move to 32 points on the season, but fall to 1-1-4 here at home. Christian, there's a lot of different players we were looking to highlight coming into this one, and you see here on the highlights, though, New York did not have a lot of players stand out offensively.
No, Christian Valesky was one of the bright spots there for Rochester. Two really good opportunities in the first half. This one just inches away from being able to put his team up 1-0. And I thought Junior Flemings floated in and out of the game for the most part, this time being sprung by Derek Etienne, a nice ball. Etienne had some good moments in this match. It may not have been his best necessarily, but Canardo Forbes, I mean, I don't know if I've seen anyone since David Beckham come in here and have such consistency on this pitch in terms of his dead ball situation. So certainly, Forbes was more than a handful for Ryan Mira, who I thought had a good match, covered his space very well, did a very nice job in terms of being able to control his box, making good decisions, and continue his development.
New York Red Bull 2 head out on a 3-game road trip, closed out by their first appearance ever at Neipert Stadium in Cincinnati, and then home on July 23rd to host the Charleston Battery. Rochester Rhinos head home to host FC Cincinnati next week. Once again, these two teams, it's a hard-fought one, but a 0-0 draw between New York Red Bulls 2 and Rochester Rhinos. Well, for Christian Dyer, Paul Hawkins, our entire production crew, and everyone here at New York Red Bulls and New York Red Bulls 2, thanks so much for spending time with us. Enjoy your holiday weekend and stick to NewYorkRedBulls.com for all your New York Red Bull 2 news and notes.